Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
This truly is her superpower. She makes us think. So when she told me what she wanted to talk about today, I started thinking about it, looking at all different angles. And this is something that we all do from time to time. I'm going to say that. We all do this. You can't deny it. Walking on eggshells. How many times have you been in that situation where you felt uncomfortable about what you were going to do, what you were going to say? Why? That's my word today. Why? Question mark. Let's dig into this. She's an amazing psychotherapist. Works with everybody from children to adults, teens, couples, and on. And I'm never walking on eggshells with her, though.
Oh, that's a good thing.
We are always masked down and very transparent. Susie Engel is back with us. How's everything with you today?
Everything is great. Thank you, Steve. Yeah.
So great to have you back here. And this is one of those things that we all do it. I try to think if there could be anybody on this planet that's never done it. And I have to believe that's an impossibility. There's always been that one situation, and it could be a partner. It could be a spouse. It could be your children. It could be your boss. It could be a friend where you're afraid to say something. You're I don't want to say you're hiding something, but you're being cautious about it. What comes to your mind initially when you hear that somebody's walking on eggshells?
Initially, I think the person is enmeshed with a few issues. One is if somebody says, I'm walking on eggshells, it seems like they're overly responsible or overcompensating for somebody else's anger or possible anger. The other issue is, which becomes the universal comment, is what happens to all of us if we're up against somebody's anger? And the natural emotion that might come up is fear or feeling scared or feeling intimidated, which is all on the fear spectrum.
Okay. That was what I was thinking about, that dreaded F word, fear. Does it always come back to fear? Why are you walking on eggshells? You fear the response of somebody else. And is it always anger coming from them, or you're walking on eggshells? And I'm processing this. Or would you be walking on eggshells because you don't want to disappoint them? But I don't know if that's accurate, because would they be coming back at you with fear? I'm sorry, with anger or some frustration against you, and you fear that.
Or some judgment or something harsh.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the only reason why any of us, and I do think it is a universal experience, walks on eggshells, and hopefully it's a one-time deal, it's a few-time deals, and once we realize there's that pattern in our lives, we break our own pattern, because we're not going to be able to control somebody else's coping mechanisms or anger or whatever it is. We're not going to be able to influence or change that necessarily, but we can say, I fall into this pattern, and then I become either submissive or a nervous wreck because of it. And what can I do to break my pattern? Because I can't do anything about this person's anger, lack of coping, their problems, whatever that is. I mean, I'm okay with let them be, but I'm not okay with me perpetuating just because it's universal. And that's a whole nother podcast for us. I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, would you be walking on eggshells because you don't want to disappoint somebody? And does it ultimately come back to fear? You have a
Yes.
fear of disappointing someone. They may not snap at you. They may not get angry at you. You don't want to bring them down. You have some news. I don't know if I want to share it with them. I know I have to. So I'm walking on eggshells. But I think it correct me if I'm wrong. I'm processing this. It comes back to fear because you have a fear of their reaction.
Yes, and even a fear of disappointing anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is if we all want to elevate ourselves, and one element of walking on eggshells around certain people in our lives is, well, I don't want to disappoint them. Then we also have to elevate ourselves by working through who do we really not want to disappoint? Like the way I look at it is I don't want to disappoint myself. This is my life, even if I'm 9 years old. And, in a 9-year-old's ability to understand this, children who come here, they start understanding. I don't need to be intimidated by my mother and father. I can say they are grown-ups who have a hard time coping with certain things. It's not a measure of me. The children can come to terms with this, especially with the EMDR. They do beautifully with that. But now if we come back to, I don't want to disappoint somebody, it really does come back to, well, I'm afraid of their judgment. I'm afraid of causing them more burden. I'm afraid of if I disappoint them. But on the other hand, if they're disappointed, it may not be because I'm disappointing them. It might just be that's their lens on life. I just don't know. We could get into all this and also, but the bottom line is this. If I am worried about disappointing somebody, worry is fear. And then I have to cope with facing my fears.
It's on us. If you're walking on eggshells, it's on you.
Yes.
It really is. Because let's look at this in all different scenarios. I'm walking on eggshells because I need to tell them about this, but they're going to be disappointed. And I'm afraid to see that in them. Well, it sounds, and I'm going to dissect here, it sounds like you have information that you need to deliver to them. That's a fact. Take the emotion out. There's a fact there. You got something, you got to tell them, you're walking on eggshells, you need to deliver it at some point. That's your problem, not theirs. You might have, let's say, test results came. You got a phone call, now you got to tell them, what the results were. They have to find out anyway. That's on you. You're the one walking on eggshells. And through all of this, even if it's your boss, I need to ask my boss for a raise. I mean, it's been 5 years, no increase. I'm making that company tons of money. I know I deserve more. I'm walking on eggshells. I know I have a meeting with him at 2:00 today, but I'm afraid, what he's going to say. And what if he says, well, you be gone with you because we're not going to pay you anymore. How dare you ask for more money? That's ultimately, again, on you. And one thing that's coming up for me here, Susie, universally, if you're walking on eggshells, you are not being your authentic self. Would you say that's true? Would you say that's true?
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with if anybody on this earth finds themselves walking on eggshells, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to know ourselves better and to, like I said earlier, elevate or up level ourselves. And it doesn't matter what age. So when these conversations come up in any vein or fashion, it's a chance. It's a chance to grow. And walking on eggshells is multidimensional. If I'm walking on eggshells, I'm worried about how this person is going to struggle to cope. with whatever it is. And that should not be my business. It should not be my energy focus. It should not, I mean, I'm okay if I'm aware of this, that I know this person struggles in this way, but it's also not my responsibility. And for me to devote any amount of energy toward that is not okay with myself. And when I can influence, not influence, but instill in my, because I'm not influencing. What I'm doing is getting clients of any age to realize what they have within themselves in terms of resilience, to come to terms with, if this person struggles, it's not about me. And that's a beautiful separation. And the other part, even though it's so multifaceted, is when I am walking on eggshells, I have to look at what am I struggling to cope with. And usually it comes back to facing my fears. And when we face our fears, it's like, the Wizard of Oz. You pull the curtain, the classic Wizard of Oz. You pull the curtain across, and there's a person just like me who just wants to go home. A little person just like me who just wants to go home.
Yeah. How do you walk through that? All right, now we got a situation, walking on eggshells, whether it's a boss, the spouse, whatever it may be. And by the way, I think we do this on a regular basis. Things that you need to say to somebody, you're afraid how to say it. It's an essence of walking on eggshells. Maybe it's not the full blown,
Well, I mean, I have clients who have said, why has it taken me 40 years to find a therapist like you? And I will say that I don't really know exactly what they're talking about, but it's a compliment. That much I know. But I know that I say to my clients of all ages, this is a hard part about my job. This is me in the first person. This is the hard part about my job. I have to bring up what is resonating with me that I'm getting from you. And it might be hard for us. It might be hard for you to hear this, but this is the hard part about my job. I have an obligation, a professional obligation, to be honest with you and open with you. And then I say it. So I'm kind of couching it for the person so that they don't have that defense to say, oh, she's so harsh and she's mean or she's this or she's that. I just tell them this is the hard part about my job. And this is what I say. And this is about you, not about all these other people. And that's how I do it.
Do you find a good part of your job is not so much giving somebody advice, but more so letting them see the different angles?
Oh, I mean, giving advice is not therapy. Giving advice is like, oh, when you feel this way, do that. When you do this, do that. That is not therapy. That is superficial. That is not getting to the root cause. And it's also not stimulating the client to be curious and associate deeper into what is already within them. And so if a client says, well, that person really makes me angry, or that person really intimidates me, giving advice of how to handle that person is not the solution. It's actually not life-sustaining.
Yeah, because you're just taking, it's like your car and the GPS tells you how to get to point A from point A to point B. You may just hear, okay, you got to drive 30 miles and make a turn. But ultimately, you really need to know what you're in for during that drive. What are you going to be traversing? Is it going to be along a mountain? You have no idea. You have to work through that to get to point B. It's not going to tell you that. You have to live that true experience. Because maybe I have a fear of driving around a cliff. I won't know until I get there. and the GPS might not say, by the way, there's a cliff there. Every experience is different. When somebody has trouble or they're considering, the situation of walking on eggshells, should they think about what the fear is? And it could be a fear, and not just I fear disappointing them. Why do you fear disappointing them? Is it because, or if they're going to get angry, is it because they may look at you in a different way and it'll minimize your value? It will maybe change your relationship. Instead of just looking face value, going deeper when you're in those situations, maybe even writing it down?
Well, I mean, for people who like to write things down, I think it's wonderful because that helps. But a lot of people don't like journaling and things like that. So for the people who do, that's great. But I mean, the conversation is, what are your earliest experiences that informed you? If somebody is angry, or, you're using the word disappointed, but I really do believe people walk on eggshells because they are afraid of somebody else's anger, no matter what the spectrum, whether it's an annoyance or whether it's rage. That's the spectrum, like full spectrum. And then there are thousands of anger words in between.
I agree with you. And I think it's like, in my mind, like 80% anger and judgment, and then maybe 20% of that person being disappointed. However, let's say you have to deliver a piece of information and they're going to be disappointed. There is, maybe in the back of your mind, there is that fear that, and why you're walking on the eggshells, because you're going to deliver this information, but you fear that they may be angry at you for providing the information. So it goes back to the anger thing.
Right. And so I mean, everybody needs, and everybody is able to do this. Everybody can leapfrog back in their life experience and begin to identify a series of experiences that kind of fall into a category of what happens to me when somebody outside of me is angry. So for most people, they'll start with early experiences and they'll begin to identify that it is overwhelming. It's unpredictable. It was a surprise, not a fun surprise, but a shocking surprise. And that's the one that really gets people. And then if they don't process that with somebody sane in their lives, then each time somebody is ruffled, somebody outside of themselves is ruffled, they're going to say, oh, it's the same situation and it must be me. That's if the person didn't have a sane person in their life, an emotionally stable person in their life to process these experiences. And then it snowballs. And then it becomes, I'm afraid to ask my boss for a raise. I'm afraid to tell my significant other my true feelings about these situations that happen day in and day out. And it's not about anything more than understanding that most fear is phony.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, people do not swim in the ocean because maybe there's a shark. Well, yeah, that's where sharks live. But that doesn't mean that you're going to come across some shark when you're swimming. Now, when you're face to face with the shark, you're going to feel fear, like the amygdala, fight, flight, or freeze.
Sure.
You're scared to death. But you can't live life afraid to say what needs to be said And I really appreciate 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds who come here with their whole families, because I can hear all the different scenarios that are edited and what pleasing people want me to understand about their families. And then I get to the 4-year-old or the 3-year-old, and they say it like this. They'll say, well, Susan, basically, my parents act like children, and then we don't know what to do. And that tells the whole story. And his kid hasn't learned to be afraid until they walk out of the office and the parents are like, never talk about us again. Like that, then this kid is going to get informed, or hopefully the family is healthy enough to have the capacity to tolerate anybody else's opinions.
I'm laughing because I've heard that before, where you have this small child uses a word like, well, Susan, basically, like, where'd you get that from? But it's kind of funny.
Or they'll say, actually.
Actually, that's the other one.
That's really what they say. Basically is not what they really
say. Yeah, no, yeah, I got you.
Actually.
Yeah. It's funny. And I think way back we talked about fear. And I know there's, a lot of acronyms out there, false evidence appearing real. And people are like, ooh, there's that one again. But it's true. And I often hear this number come up in polls and surveys and everything. Roughly 92% of the things that we worry about never happen, never transpire. You're wasting your time, your energy in all different aspects. It just doesn't. So, even walking on the eggshells,
That's a mantra right there. That's a mantra to be able to say everything always, for the most part, everything works out. Because the statistic is whatever you just stated.
Yeah. And you know what? That is one of my probably top 5 life lessons. Everything always works out. My mom used to say it all the time, and I'd be like, what do you mean? At that time, I could have had an issue going on, and she would say, everything was, but you know what? As I look back at it, it somehow, interestingly, maybe weirdly, has a way of working out. I don't know how, but it all, even finances, you worry about it. Oh my gosh.
No, people should not worry about that. People should start feeling like passionate about their lives, passionate about their interests, passionate about you said authentic, their authenticity, and everything else falls into place.
Right.
Fear of money is insecurity. Fear is insecurity. So when we can say, wow, I have gotten to be my own best expert at facing my fears, and I no longer am afraid of anything. That's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. And
it's a beautiful thing.
It's
and walking on eggshells, like, I am sorry. I mean, it is all about the other person's lack of ability to cope. And that's not my job.
Mm-hmm. And you know what?
You're like,
This is in real time. I have a situation where I entered into a partnership or running something with somebody else. And after a short period of time, identified this isn't the way, this doesn't meet the expectations of me and the other person. So this is as of last night. So I need to talk to this person and say, we're not going to be part of this anymore. We thought it was going to, align with us. It just doesn't. I'm not walking on eggshells, but there's a piece of me is like, I have to have this conversation with this person. They'll be fine with it. How am I going to navigate that? I'm going to write my thoughts down so that they're clear. And it could be 3 thoughts. And the person's going to be, yeah, no problem. I understand. They're going to understand. But I want to make sure I present it in the right way. And if I don't, I feel there's like maybe a 5% I'm walking on eggshells of how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to say it. Once I have the clarity in my mind, easy peasy. Take me 5 minutes. It'd be done. 3 minutes. It'd be done.
Yeah,
all good.
That's great. I usually don't have to write those things down, but I like that.
I'm only writing it down.
It's clarifying.
My thoughts.
It's clarifying. Yeah.
Exactly.
And the other thing is this. when I say it's the other person's, it really is the other person's problem. Because if the other person struggles to cope, and I really mean that, I mean, there's so many underdeveloped human beings on this earth walking around like zombies and then lashing out because that's all they know how to do. I mean, it really bothers me a lot. But if people lack the ability to cope, which is not our problem, I don't have the interest in expending any energy on that. I also have to resolve within myself that if somebody is going to cope in an underdeveloped way and be angry with me, like you said at the beginning of this podcast, the messenger, if they're going to be angry with me, I say, let them be angry with me. It doesn't faze me. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like I have to do anything. I don't have to defend myself. If I have expressed something that's important to express and that person struggles or has no capacity to handle it, it's just very easy.
It's on them. It's on them. But
And I don't carry that here.
We do though. That's why we walk
I
on
don't.
eggshells. Right. No, I got you. You. And I do it
and
way
I don't feel
less.
guilty.
But you know what? Why I feel I do it way less than I used to, the walking on eggshell things. Because I'm more me now. I've got in touch with myself. So
you've grown. Yeah.
It's been a journey.
Before I've known you, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's right.
And it comes to a point where they don't like it. All right, what can I do? Yeah, I was friendly, loving, and cordial about whatever I needed to say. And if you don't like that, I got nothing for you. That's the way it is.
I mean, my just to make this full circle, I don't feel like I have to defend myself about something that I know is right for me. And if I make a mistake, I have to reflect on that and learn from it. But mistakes are great too. So I'm not saying life is without mistakes. I'm saying that if we have an urge to walk on eggshells, we have to take a good look at ourselves and say, what's happening? What is going on?
Yeah.
And put it in perspective.
Great conversation today.
Health.
Great conversation today. A reframe on all of this where, we worry about the other person. Worry about yourself. That's what it comes down to. Susan Engel -lcsw.com, correct?
Yes.
And Engel is ENGEL. You're available. You're here to help. By the way, question, comment, even about walking on eggshells. We'd love to hear from you. Instant feedback, Steve@gmail.com. Always great talking with you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience.
And thank you for bringing this topic to the table because it's an important one, without a doubt. Yeah.
See you next week.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.